Tonight on Healthworks, it was a drive home from out of town like any other until
I started throwing up something that was hot and foamy, and it was bright red.
it wasn't the flu. It was a late-stage symptom of a deadly disease that's already infected 170 million people worldwide, many of whom don't even know it.
It is becoming one of the most serious infectious disease health threats in the United States today.
And she's a graduate student, a former Wall Street trader, and a recovering alcoholic.
I didn't think about drinking. It was just a way of life.
What she didn't know is that just by being a woman, she was more vulnerable to liver disease from alcohol. And her struggle was just beginning. Do you feel tired in the afternoon? Exhausted? Like you just can't make another move? This man did.
I went to the doctor, and I knew I wasn't feeling well, and they kept telling me I was healthy.
The thing about this disease is that you can go for years without any symptoms without realizing you're sick.
Tonight, Healthworks takes a look at liver health and liver disease and what you can do to protect yourself. And the Healthworks Challenge. Do you know how much you can handle? We asked some beverage-savvy Houstonians, and their answers may surprise you. All this and more tonight on Healthworks. Good evening. I'm Bob Knowlton. Welcome to Healthworks. Welcome back. If you're like most people, you may feel a little groggy each afternoon. But when afternoon grogginess turned into constant exhaustion for one Houstonian, he wouldn't take it lying down. As president of a large construction company, Chuck White is on the go all the time. He's an engineer by training, paid to analyze problems, determine options, and find solutions. But when something began to slow him down in 1994, those skills were put to the test.
I was feeling tired in the afternoons, and I had a high-stress occupation. I probably wasn't working out as much as I should.
Assuming his fatigue was just due to his busy lifestyle, he tried everything. Vitamins, a healthier diet, more sleep. Nothing worked. And that wasn't easy to take for a man who solves problems for a living.
I went to the doctor and said, hey, I'm really feeling tired in the afternoons. What do you think it could be? And they checked me over, and all my tests came back normal.
But a year later, after a routine blood test, his doctor told him his liver enzymes were elevated and screened him for liver disease.
When they did the screen for hepatitis, and it came back positive for hepatitis C, I had no clue what that meant. Overall, I'm a pretty healthy guy. I hunt and fish. I'm outdoors a lot, play with the kids and now the grandchild. So I'm very active lifestyle. So it was a shock to say the least.
His shock was understandable. He lived a clean life, no IV drugs, no heavy drinking, and he married his high school sweetheart at age 20. His only possible risk factor, a blood transfusion after he was hit by a car in the 1950s. Given that lifestyle, his doctor told him not to worry, that the problem might correct itself. But 6 months later, still feeling tired all the time, he went to St. Luke's Texas Liver Institute for a second opinion.
He's very, very motivated. He's goal-oriented. And when he found out about his hepatitis C, he was perplexed. He couldn't figure out exactly where he got it or why he had it so long.
I've always been aggressive and assertive towards anything, and realizing something was affecting my health and my lifespan, I set about finding out what I could do to make it go away.
In November of 1995, Dr. Galati suggested a liver biopsy, a tissue sample, to see how far the disease had progressed. His first one delivered some good news. Chuck's liver was not showing signs of significant damage.
My feeling was that he had had the illness probably 20 or 30 years, and it was only mild inflammation and really no fibrosis or no scarring yet. And so the plan that Chuck and I laid out was that we would sit tight, carefully monitor him for a couple, 3 years, and then repeat the biopsy to see if there's any change.
2.5 years later, the news wasn't so good.
It was clear that the second biopsy had more inflammation and more fibrosis or scar tissue. Left untreated, there was certainly the possibility that this could lead to more advanced liver disease, more scarring, and cirrhosis, which could ultimately lead to transplantation.
There was two choices: do something about it or not do anything about it. that was an easy decision.
Together, Chuck and Dr. Galati decided on an aggressive treatment of interferon and ribavirin to fight his illness.
I had to take 3 injections a week, which I'm the kind of person prior to that time, I couldn't even watch him take my blood or put a needle in my arm, but I was determined that I've got to learn how to do this because this is the course of treatment that's there.
He responded quickly and positively to the treatment, but not without some flu-like side effects.
You just feel bad, and you got fever and chills, and you just feel weak all the time.
Fortunately, Chuck was able to lighten his load at work, and after a year of treatment, the virus was no longer in his system. But even though he seemed to be winning the fight, there was no assurance the virus was gone for good.